The year is 1950. Greece, still reeling from the devastation of World War II and a subsequent civil war, found itself at a crossroads. The once vibrant nation, steeped in ancient history and tradition, was grappling with deep political and ideological divisions. The scars of conflict ran deep, leaving behind a society fractured along political lines. The left, associated with communism, and the right, championing traditional values, were locked in a bitter struggle for the soul of Greece. It was in this climate of suspicion and uncertainty that a new threat, or so it seemed, emerged: the youth. As Greece entered the 1950s, a wave of Western cultural influences from music to fashion began to wash ashore. This influx, coupled with the anxieties of a generation that had witnessed unimaginable hardship, created a potent mix of fear and resentment. Older generations, clinging to tradition, saw the burgeoning youth culture as a dangerous deviation from Greek values. The seeds of discontent were sown. The government, dominated by conservative forces, viewed the changing social landscape with increasing alarm. The youth, with their rebellious spirit and embrace of foreign influences, were deemed a threat to the established order, a social contagion that needed to be contained. It was against this backdrop of social and political turmoil that Law 4000, a piece of legislation that would cast a long shadow over Greek society, was conceived. This law, ostensibly aimed at curbing juvenile delinquency, would become a powerful tool for social control, targeting not just behavior, but an entire generation's expression of identity and freedom. Law 4000, as we shall see, was more than just a law. It was a symptom of a deeper societal unease, a reaction to the winds of change blowing through a nation struggling to find its footing in a post-war world. Its story is a cautionary tale about the seductive power of fear and the enduring human cost of sacrificing liberty in the name of order. In 1958, Law 4000, officially titled Concerning the Idleness of Youth and Its Consequences, was passed by the Greek Parliament. This seemingly innocuous title, however, belied the far-reaching and draconian nature of the law itself. It was in essence a legal weapon aimed at suppressing any form of youthful expression deemed threatening to the status quo. The law's provisions were as broad as they were vague, effectively giving the authorities carte blanche to target anyone they deemed undesirable. One of the most insidious aspects of Law 4000 was its focus on outward appearance. The law explicitly prohibited provocative clothing, hairstyles, and even musical preferences. Young men with long hair, sideburns deemed too long, or tight trousers could be stopped, publicly humiliated, and arrested. The same fate awaited young women sporting short skirts or makeup deemed excessive. The law essentially criminalized individuality, turning personal style into a matter of public scrutiny and potential punishment. But Law 4000 went beyond mere aesthetics. It granted the police sweeping powers to arrest individuals for a whole host of vaguely defined offenses, including disrespect for authority, causing a public scandal, or simply being idle. These catch-all phrases effectively criminalized any behavior that the authorities, often at their own discretion, deemed undesirable or subversive. The law's enactment marked a significant shift in the relationship between the state and its citizens, giving rise to a culture of fear and self-censorship. Young people, already grappling with the challenges of a society in flux, now found themselves living under the constant threat of arbitrary arrest and public humiliation. One of the primary targets of Law 4000 was a subculture that had emerged in post-war Greece, known as the Teddy Boys. Inspired by their British counterparts, Greek Teddy Boys adopted a distinctive style that included slicked-back hair, draped jackets, and narrow trousers. They were drawn to the rebellious spirit of rock and roll music, particularly the music of Elvis Presley, which was sweeping across the globe. To the conservative establishment, the Teddy Boys represented everything that was wrong with modern youth. Their music was seen as loud, their dancing provocative, and their fashion choices a blatant disregard for traditional Greek values. The mere sight of a group of Teddy Boys with their greased hair and rebellious attitude was enough to send shockwaves through the older generation. The media, often complicit in amplifying the government's narrative, played a key role in demonizing the Teddy Boys. Newspapers and radio broadcasts portrayed them as delinquents, hooligans, and a threat to public order. This fear-mongering effectively turned the Teddy Boys into a convenient scapegoat for a society grappling with deeper anxieties about modernization and its impact on traditional values. The Teddy Boys, however, were far from the threat they were made out to be. They were, for the most part, working-class youths seeking an outlet for their energy and frustrations in a society that offered them little opportunity. Their rebellion was one of style and music, not of political ideology or violent intent. Yet, in the eyes of the state, their very existence challenged the established order. Law 4000 was ruthlessly enforced by the police, who were given wide latitude in interpreting its vague provisions. Young people, particularly those who dared to express themselves through their appearance or musical tastes, became easy targets. The streets of Athens and other major cities transformed into hunting grounds, with police officers stopping and searching individuals on the flimsiest of pretexts. Long hair, tight pants, or even carrying a rock and roll record were enough to warrant detention, and often, public humiliation. One of the most common and degrading punishments meted out under Law 4000 was the forced haircut. Young men caught with hair deemed too long by the authorities were often subjected to public shearing, their heads shaved bald in the town square or police station. These humiliating spectacles were intended to serve as a deterrent, a visible reminder of the consequences of defying the law. The images of these public humiliations, often captured in newspapers, served as a powerful tool of social control, instilling fear and compliance among the youth. But the impact of these actions went far beyond the immediate humiliation. For many young people, the experience left lasting psychological scars. The forced haircut, a violation of their personal identity and expression, instilled a deep sense of shame and resentment towards the authorities. It also created a climate of distrust and fear, where young people were afraid to express themselves openly for fear of reprisal. The enforcement of Law 4000 was a stark reminder of the power of the state to control not just the actions, but the very appearance and thoughts of its citizens.